Hi guys, welcome to episode 7 of blah blah blah. I don't really have that much gaming news this week. The only thing that really caught my attention was there's going to be a pop vinyl being released of Shantae, and I love that game, so I'm definitely going to get that pop vinyl. I did also see the Firefighters here in Australia. There's going to be a pop vinyl dedicated for them, which I think is a great thing. I'm hoping that the proceeds of that will some form go to maybe the volunteer firefighters or the Wildlife Society or something. I don't know if it will happen, but it's just good to see that they're going to be recognized in that. But what I want to talk about today is games that have been banned here in Australia. We have to put up with a lot of stuff here in Australia with censorship. A movie like this Last Temptation of Christ, I think there was a Martin Scorsese film, it was banned here. It was banned here in Queensland, I remember that. There's horror movies that get banned here as well, which is, to me, is ridiculous. And we've been putting up with this sort of stuff going right back to, I think, the original PlayStation with, I think it was a game called Thrill Kill. I don't even think they actually got a release, to be honest with you, but we're seeing a lot of stuff that is either completely banned here or will be heavily censored and will finally get through the Australian Classification Board. And that's one thing why I hate the classification labeling here in Australia. It's so in your face. It's just they take up so much space on the game covers, take away from the artwork. But I just want to go through what I found in my game collection that games have been banned or consequently banned and then being released with some minor adjustments. And some of these games with the adjustments is just ridiculous, and it shows how backward and just how crazy this country is, just as the birds just flying by now. But I want to get into the GTA series. Now this one actually got released here in Australia and was pulled off the shelves because of the sexual violence in this game. Rockstar would have to take that out and it would finally get a re-release here. But every game that was on the shelves at the time when they were pretty much pulled off to be fixed and later re-released. And also we got the I think it's San Andreas, the infamous coffee mode in there. I think it was deeply buried in the game, but with some mods you could actually get in and play it. So consequently, the game was taken off the shelves and reissued with that mod. You couldn't get into it, or this hidden game. Now this is interesting because when GTA 5 came out here in Australia, some of the department stores refused to sell it. It passed the classification board, I think. I don't think there was much taken out of it, maybe. I'm not too sure, but I know that stores like Big W, Kmart, Target refused to sell this game, which means you go to EB Games or JB Hi-Fi, their sales would have went through the roof, I think, with this game, because unwillingly it did spark more interest in this game. I think there would be a lot of players out there, gamers out there that maybe into maybe sports games or racing car games and stuff like that, not necessarily into this sort of stuff. But as soon as you hear that the stores are not going to be selling this game because of the violence and just the way it is, it will spark people's interest and people will actually go out and buy this sort of stuff. So I think the department stores are just a little bit crazy with that, just because of what it is, a massive selling game, and they refuse to sell it because of the violence in it. That's their decision. Now with the Manhunt series, I remember the first game was actually released here. I think it was the Attorney General at the time, Philip Ruddock, who overturned the release of this game. I think he didn't like the fact that there was violence and torture in this game, and consequently it did get banned here altogether. So this is the American copy. I don't have to worry about that sort of stuff, but it was banned here. And when Manhunt 2 came out, Rockstar Games didn't even bother trying to have this game released over here in Australia. It was just going to be too much of a hassle, and they probably knew that it would be banned. And I just think that sometimes this country is so backward with this sort of stuff. And I got 3 video games here that were banned because of the way they look, the way these characters look. This is Japanese anime if you're into this sort of stuff, you know what anime is, but for some reason, the classification board will see this as being minors in these games when they're not. But because of the way they're drawn, it's the style of anime, big cute eyes, all that sort of stuff, and it's just like games like this will be banned altogether. I think this actually got released here, but because of somebody read on the back of the cover what this was about, and they kicked up a stink, EB Games Australia actually pulled all their copies off the shelf. So that just shows the pressure sometimes that these stores are put under when this sort of stuff happens. But yeah, to be pulled off the shelf voluntarily from EB Games because a customer complained about what they read on the back of the cover. So that's really crazy. So then we would have games that would be refused classification to begin with, but after tweaking it, they would be granted the classification and released here in Australia. Now, Fallout 3. Now, can you believe this was actually refused classification over here? You would think that maybe it's when you go into the vats, you can lock onto the body parts and shoot them and just blow the head off of one of the characters. That's the reason this game was going to be refused classification. But it wasn't. This game was refused classification because of the word morphine. The classification board had a real problem with the word morphine being used in this game because it is a real life drug, and that was their reasoning for essentially banning this game to begin with. So what Bethesda did, they changed the word, and this is worldwide as well. They changed it from morphine to Med-X. Med-X sounds a lot cooler than morphine, but because morphine was a real life drug, the classification board here in Australia had a real problem with that, and yeah, as soon as it was changed to Med-X, no problem. They didn't have a problem with the all the body shots and the gore and the heads blowing off and the blood splurting everywhere, but yeah, morphine was a real problem for them. Doesn't make sense, does it? Now, along with Alien vs Predator, the bloody graphic gore of this game was a reason why it was initially refused classification. Changed it a bit, and it got classified and was released over here. The infamous South Park Stick of Truth. This game was refused classification because of the anal probing scene in it. They had a real problem here with that. Ubisoft changed it, and I think now when that scene happens, you'll see a photo of a koala and a description of why that scene was changed, and it just makes us look so ridiculous here when we have a R classification rating now, and it just doesn't get used the way it should. So yeah, to me it's ridiculous. I just cannot get over the fact that some of these games like morphine, are you serious? Because of the word morphine, this was going to be refused classification. It's just ridiculous, and this is what we have to put up with here in Australia. It's just so wrong. It's just ridiculous. And even now, I think last year Zombie Z on mobile phone was refused classification because it had cannabis in it. Medical cannabis was going to be something that replenished your health, so that was the reason why that got banned. And it's just, yeah, we're the laughing stock of the world, I think, with this sort of stuff. But I don't know what it is like in the rest of the world. Let me know in the comments down below what has been banned over in your countries. I'm really interested in seeing stuff like that, because I'm not too sure about that. Now I want to get on to a question. This is from Mackenzie Peters, and he has a really cool question for me, and he says, "Hey Ken, is there any game in your collection you would call a bad game, but you keep it as a guilty pleasure or because you have a soft spot for it?" And I thought that was a great question. I did read it off something over there. I thought it was a great question, and I went through this list of games behind me, and what really stood out was stuff on the PlayStation Vita. Either it's guilty pleasures or stuff that I want to keep. And I think a good example of that, and some of these games are not that good, especially with Hyperdimension Neptuna producing Perfection. This is absolute rubbish, but because I'm a big fan of the series and I got the rest of the games on the Vita, I feel the need just to keep this. But I played this thing and it was just like, what the hell is this? It's just like talking to characters and going into concerts, and that's pretty much it. It's a weird game. It's a most Japanese games are weird, but this one's a really weird one, and because of the fact that I do have the rest of the games in the series, I got to keep that one. Now, as the PlayStation Vita sort of slowly, declined, and we can't pick any games up anymore. It's just what's out there now. I thought I needed to get this Top Trumps Turbo. I get this is based on a card game. It's absolutely rubbish. I don't like it, but I just can't find myself parting with it because of the fact that it's the Vita's done, and it's just a matter of just trying to collect whatever I can for the Vita from now on. Here's a Japanese graphic novel. It was cheap on eBay. I got it. I have no idea if it's good, but it's all in Japanese, and I grabbed it because of the fact that, like I said, I need to try and get stuff for the Vita. Now, Tad Jones, this is interesting because I love the movie Tad Jones. This was released in Spain only. You can get it digitally, but physically it was only released in Spain, and the game itself is not that great. It's a really basic platforming game, but because you can't get this anywhere else in the world physically outside of Spain, I just had to have this one, and yeah, that's why I got that one. And I've got Final Fantasy X on just about every system that it's been released on, remastered on, and I just had to have this one as well because I had to. And this one did come with a download code of X2, which was okay, but then I later found in Asia a physical copy of X2, so I got that one as well. So I guess these ones are my guilty pleasures. These ones are good games, but the other ones, yeah, Tad Jones is not that great. This one is absolute rubbish, but I can't see myself parting with them. Like I said, the video's finished now, and it's just a matter of just trying to find stuff for it, good or bad. I don't know, but yeah, great question. Thanks for that one. And that's it. That's episode 8 of blah 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 done. Finally, sirens going outside. It's late at night, and there's I don't know if it's a bird or something just going crazy out there as well. But that's it. Yeah, let me know what games are banned in your country. It's just be interesting to see that sort of stuff, because yeah, here in Australia it's ridiculous. Until next time, guys, see ya, bye. And yeah, don't you like it, filming late at night and the cops, GTA cops are chasing somebody, I guess, but it's unbelievable. Just listen to it.